à l'étranger, notamment en marge du G7 et du G20.
Working with the G7 and G20, we are collaborating with the government of Quebec so that our actions are concerted. As a good partner, we will collaborate with many member states from the European Union, including Germany, France, Austria, Italy, Bulgaria, Romania, to name only a few, to cover certain aspects of this agreement. We have said several times that for us, it's a good agreement. It's the most progressive in the number of exchanges since we came to power. We are ready to sign it. The ball is in the European camp.
I announced that I would return to Canada and end our discussions with the Europeans. This was a tough move by Canada, but it was a decision taken carefully and upon reflection. It was the right and necessary thing to do. To the Conservatives who've criticized walking away, they know it was the right move. I remind them that it was a Conservative government that walked out of the NAFTA negotiations. Our strong action had the desired results. Today, all the Europeans, including the Walloons, have publicly accepted that Canada's job is done. As the President of the European Parliament, Martin Schulz, said over the weekend, and I quote, "It's quite clear the problems on the table are European problems. There are still a few problems to be resolved within the EU." Even the Minister-President of Wallonia, Paul Magnette, echoed this, saying today, and I quote, "Negotiations with the Canadians are over, and we are pleased with the result of these negotiations. There are still a few problems to be resolved within the EU. The ball is in Europe's court, and Europe must now do its job." We've been working hard. When we came into office, the Canada-EU trade agreement was stalled. I instructed my officials at Global Affairs to renegotiate certain elements of the agreement, and we worked with the EU to make real progressive changes. Today, 27.5 member states of the EU support CETA. That is the result of our hard work. Over the past several months, under the leadership of our Prime Minister, we have made sustained and coordinated efforts so that the signature of CETA would be possible. The Prime Minister has consistently advocated for CETA with European leaders at home and abroad, including at the G7, G20, the UN, and in other forums. We have worked very hard with the European Commission and with member states, including Germany, France, Austria, Italy, Bulgaria, and Romania, to name just a few. Canada has said on many occasions, for us, this is an excellent agreement. It is an agreement that we have made substantially more progressive since we came into office. Canada is ready to sign CETA, but the ball is in Europe's court, and it's time for Europe to do its job. I'm happy to take questions.
Are you prepared? Is it dead? Is it dead? Is the deal dead if it's not agreed by the Europeans this week?
CETA isn't dead, and we're working hard. I think that people have probably seen the comments today from President Tusk saying that we are continuing, well, we, the Europeans, are continuing to work hard to get CETA done. We wish them well, and we hope that they can get there. Okay, à fois.
Est-ce que M. Trudeau se rend jeudi à Bruxelles? Est-ce que c'est
Oui, je serai avec M. Trudeau.
I will be with Mr. Trudeau, yes.
Vous avez donc encore de l'espoir.
So you still have hope.
Absolument.
Oh, yes,
J'ai
absolutely. I have hope.
Oui.
Yes,
Oui, non,
yes.
j'ai compris. Si
I
M.
didn't
Trudeau
understand.
sera à
If
Bruxelles,
Mr. Trudeau
je serai aussi.
is there, I'll be there too.
La question, c'est est-ce qu'il va être à
Est-ce qu'il va être...
The question
on verra.
is, will he be?
On verra.
Will he? We'll
L'Union
see.
européenne doit être
The European
prête
Union
à signer
must
le
be
CETA.
ready
Comme
to sign
j'ai
CETA.
dit,
But as I
la
said,
balle est maintenant
the ball
dans
is
le
now
camp
in their
de
court.
l'Europe.
In
Et
Europe,
maintenant, c'est pour les Européens
and
de
now
faire
it's up
son
to the
job.
Europeans to do their job.
Est-ce qu'il y a un plan B?
Is there a plan B? Could Canada undertake other negotiations? Inedible. We are working now on signing CETA.
Je vais me répéter.
I
Le
will
Canada
repeat.
est prêt à
Canada
signer
is ready
le CETA
to
le
sign
27
CETA
octobre.
on October
Maintenant,
27.
c'est
Now,
pour les Européens
it's up
de
to the
faire son
Europeans
job.
to do their job.
Et comme President Tusk a dit,
And
ils
as
travaillent
President
maintenant.
Tusk said, they're working on it now.
Yes, I mean, you say you're ready to go.
You would be there on Thursday. Are they still negotiating now? Until when are they going to negotiate? And how much time do you need to be able to pack
Look,
your
I
bags?
think that's a
and go?
question for the Europeans, but we have heard publicly from President Tusk today that the Europeans are continuing to work hard, and that's good. They should be.
What happens if they say it's ready in January? What happens if they say, not this week, but January, you come back?
As I say, right now, the ball is in Europe's court. President Tusk has said Europe is working to the October 27th deadline, and that's the right thing for them to do.
But what if you miss that deadline? To go back to David's question, what if you miss
As
that
I said,
deadline? Are you prepared to go further and sign later and just wait for them to figure it out?
Canada is ready to sign now. We've done our job. Now it's up to Europe to do its job, and the Europeans have acknowledged at all levels that it's their job to do, and they have all been saying today publicly that they're hard at work. Let's wish them well.
When you say it's up to them to do the work, what exactly do they have to do to get it done? Can you give us some insight into, do they have to convince Wallonia? What is it?
Again, that is chiefly a question for the Europeans. But what is missing right now? The Europeans themselves have said, and the Belgians have said, that CETA is supported by 27 and a half member states. It is supported by 27, and it is supported by Belgium at the federal level. Belgium, working with the European Union, needs to get regional support so that Belgium can support CETA.
Why were you unwilling to reopen the deal? I mentioned this because you said you were unwilling last fall, but then you went and renegotiated the ISDS. What were you being asked to do that would have required a reopening of the deal, and why didn't you reopen it?
We believe that CETA today is an excellent agreement. The leaders of the EU and the leaders of the member states have said, all of the leaders at the federal level, in fact, of all 28 member states, have said, and the leaders of the Commission and of the Union have said that CETA is the best deal that the EU has ever negotiated. I think that that is absolutely right. And, this deal is done. It's time to move on, get it signed, and then get it ratified.
Vous dites que le Canada est prêt à signer. Vous dites que le Canada est prêt à signer maintenant. Est-ce que le Canada sera encore prêt à signer vendredi? Est-ce qu'il sera encore prêt à signer la semaine prochaine, dans un mois?
Next week, next month? Is there a deadline?
Maintenant
The
est
date
le
now
27
is
octobre.
October
Les
27th.
Européens ont dit,
It's
c'est aujourd'hui
to the Europeans, we are
qu'ils
saying
continuent à
today,
travailler pour être prêts
they are
à
saying that they will
signer
continue
à
to
ce
work
date-là.
to be ready to
Et c'est
sign
très
on
bien.
that date.
Ils doivent continuer à
And they
travailler.
know that we know also that they need to work on it. Do you feel that the European Commission could refute the Belgian decision today and go beyond a Belgian's refusal? Is that part of the negotiations?
Je pense que
I think that
maintenant,
now
le travail est
the
pour
work
l'Europe. Et le
is for
travail
Europe,
est bien
and the work
sûr
is,
pour
of course,
la Belgique au
for
niveau
Belgium
fédéral.
to do
Parce
at the
que
federal
maintenant,
level. Because now
ce qu'il manque,
What's
c'est
missing
l'accord
is
de la Belgique. Mais c'est une
Belgium's
question
agreement.
pour les Européens
But it's a
qui
question for
inclut la
Europeans,
Belgique
which includes
fédérale,
Belgium,
qui inclut la
federally,
Wallonie pour
which
décider
includes
comment
the
résoudre
Walloons,
ces problèmes.
to see
C'est
how
une
to
question
resolve this
pour
problem.
les Européens.
It's an issue for them.
En tant tardé à se prononcer, parce que M. Magnette, la
When-
semaine dernière, disait, je sais, vous, ça fait 7 ans, nous, ça fait 15 jours, comment ça se fait?
We have been waiting for a year, 15 months.
C'est une très
What
bonne
is the
question.
inaudible?
Et c'est une question,
It's a very good
encore
question.
une fois, pour la Wallonie.
But it's a
peut-être
question for the
pour le
Walloons,
fédéral,
maybe
en
at the
Belgique,
federal level in
peut-être
Belgium,
pour Bruxelles.
maybe,
Ce n'est pas une question pour le Canada. Nous
but
avons
it's not a
travaillé très
question
fort
for
pendant 7
Canada.
ans.
We have worked very hard
You
this year.
saying to the world that we can't sign a deal with Canada, and what hope is there for Britain or Japan?
Again, that is above all a question for Europe. But let me quote the Europeans themselves who have said, and this is something that President Juncker has said, something that President Tusk has said, they have pointed out that if the European Union cannot sign a trade agreement with Canada and a trade agreement which by the acknowledgement of Europe's own leaders, including all of the national socialist parties of Europe. If Europe can't, as the best trade agreement Europe has ever negotiated, if Europe cannot sign this trade agreement, and it's also a trade agreement with Canada, a country that very much has shared values with Europe, then I think that certainly does call into question European trade policy more generally.
October 27th.
I'm sorry, I
Is
didn't.
Canada prepared to sign any agreement after October 27th?
As I said, the Europeans have said, and we have said, we have said that for our part, we're ready to sign the agreement on October 27th as planned. It's now up to the Europeans to be ready to sign on the 27th as well. And we have heard, I'm sure you've seen Tusk's tweets. The Europeans are still hard at work. I wish them every success.